Hi, I'm Julie Rogerson from Julie's Cake in a Box. I'm based in Beverley in East Yorkshire, but I am happy to travel further afield for the cake of your dreams. I just want to say thank you to Wedding Fairs Yorkshire for inviting me again. I've done a couple of virtual wedding fairs and a few of the actual proper wedding fairs with them now. So really great team. Thank you ever so much for having me again. I just want to start off the session by answering some questions that I get often asked, so some frequently asked questions. The first one being is, when do I need to order my wedding cake? Normally, under normal circumstances, I would say sort of 6 to 12 months before your wedding day, so that you need to really be looking at getting booked in. Obviously, at the moment, it's strange circumstances with the pandemic, so a lot of wedding cakes have now been postponed and weddings postponed over into 2021. So if you're looking at booking a new wedding date, so rather than the postponed ones, and if you're looking at 2021 dates, you really do need to get on with that as soon as you can. Same for all suppliers, really. It's not just the wedding cakes. A lot of us are getting really booked up. I know quite a few of my summer months now have got very limited availability. So if you're still wanting a 2021 wedding, yeah, really just get on with it. Reach out to your suppliers and just start the ball rolling, really, so that you make sure that you get the date that you want with the supplier that you want. So how do you go about the ordering process? For me personally, I hold wedding consultations at my studio in Beverley. I'm also happy to do online consultations for those of you that are either a little bit further afield, or if you don't feel quite ready yet for doing face-to-face consultations. You can get hold of me to start with via my website, which is juliescakeinAbox.co.uk. I'm also on Facebook and on Instagram, so I'm quite happy for you to reach out to me that way and just drop me a message. And we can start the ball rolling. So things like, obviously, the wedding date, I would need to know to make sure I can check that I'm available for your date. And then just a quick rough idea of things that you're looking at, if you've got a particular style in mind, how many guests you might be looking at. Obviously, weddings at the moment are much smaller, but hopefully further afield into 2021, we should hopefully start getting those numbers increasing again. So things like that, where your venue actually is, because obviously I need to make sure that I can deliver, say if your venue is a little bit further afield and I'm already delivering on that day, I need to make sure that I can comfortably fit you in for delivering. So those kind of things initially, and then at the wedding consultation, we can do some cake tasting and try some different flavours. We can hone down on the size of your cake and the style of your cake and the design, that kind of thing, just get to know each other. So another thing people wonder about as well is the size. What size of cake should they go for? Typically, you will find that depending on when during the day you're going to actually serve your cake, not everybody will actually eat it. So even if you've got 100 guests come in, you might only want to cater for maybe 75, 80 to save on wastage. If, however, you're looking at a smaller celebration, so say if you're going ahead during the pandemic and you're looking at sort of 30 guests, or as we start to hopefully increase in the coming months, maybe 40, 50 guests, but you still want a show-stopping huge cake, I can quite easily accommodate that by substituting some of the layers. Instead of having cake all the way up your cake, we can do some dummy tiers as well, which are just polystyrene covered in the same sugar paste and things as the rest of your cake. Another option you can have as well, if you want to still go for all of the tiers being cake and they don't get eaten on the day, is because everything is freshly baked to order for your specific cake. You can actually take that home afterwards and freeze it to enjoy and to share out with other guests that maybe couldn't come at the time. Price of your cake, again, that's something that's going to vary depending on the size of the cake. So obviously a simple 1 or 2 tiered cake is going to be a lot cheaper than a huge 3, 4, 5 tier cake covered in sugar flowers or details or models, that kind of thing. I always like to think as a ballpark figure for a 3-tier cake with a fairly simple design, nothing too elaborate, they start at around £350. So obviously that can kind of just give you an idea of where you're heading. If you're looking for something very, very detailed, you know it's going to be more expensive. If you're looking for something smaller, you know, obviously it's going to be a bit cheaper than that as well. Another thing that people ask about is what style of cake they should be going for. Now, I always like to think that your cake is a really good chance for you to show your personality in your wedding. It doesn't have to be traditional. If you're a traditional kind of person and you want that 3-tier cake with the sugar flowers on the top or the sugar flowers cascading down, that's absolutely fine. If you're looking for something to put your own stamp of personality on, maybe your interests, your hobbies, I've themed cakes around people's jobs, all kinds of things. One really simple way of doing that is on these reveal style cakes. Grab this one over. So whilst the front of the cake looks quite traditional, we've got the white icing with a nice gold ribbon on the top there. Bring it in a bit closer. We've got some nice sugar flowers, some roses and some buds. So from the front, really quite traditional looking. And then as we turn it around at the back, you could put your own stamp, your own personality and likes and interests on the back. So this one's themed obviously with steampunk in mind, with all the metallic, with the cogs and the pipes and what have you. The one over here next to me, let's put that one down. So this one here is more of a sports theme. So if you have a particular football team that you support, I think maybe Hull City might have lost a few supporters now they've been relegated, but this one was made when they were still in the Championship League. And specifically as well, I'm located quite close to the home ground, to the stadium for Hull City, for the Hull Tigers. So that's why I themed it on this one. But again, if you're a rugby fan, it's limitless what you can do with these reveal cakes. If, for example, you're getting married at an aquarium, I know close to where I am in Hull, we've got an aquarium, the Deep, they do weddings. So you could have this themed on an aquatic theme. If you like diving or something, that's why you've gone for that. You know, we can bring any kinds of themes into these reveal cakes. And then obviously at the front, you can have a little hint. We've got the colours, obviously with the ribbons. And then this one has just got some sugar ruffles at the top, hiding the football at the back. Okay. So another thing that you can bring into the style of your cakes is the season in which you've got married. So for example, for an autumnal theme, across. So this one I've dressed up more autumnal. It's got the nice coloured leaves that are dropping from the trees. It's got things like toadstools and pine cones and little seeds and nuts. But just the same, you could obviously style this up for a spring wedding or a winter wedding. We could put some snowflakes and some icy effects on there. For a summer wedding, you could go for the summer flowers and that kind of thing. So even though you might want to stick to this, this is like a rustic styled tree bark effect, you can dress it up with all the different styles that fit within the season that you're getting married. This type of cake suits really nicely for rustic weddings. So for example, in a barn setting, these also go down well in teepees and marquee type weddings. Just a really nice, relaxed kind of autumnal theme, nice and rustic. You can go cute with all the little modelled characters. You could also go for something like a proper bride and groom, or the bride's on the top. So the wedding couple up there, we could have you on instead, or you can be represented as an animal if you like. Put that one down. Even though these are made of polystyrene, they are still quite hefty to carry. Excuse me. So again, sorry, my back to you there. There we go. So if you wanted to go full out, going for your personality and your interest, things like these steampunk cakes, they can be really, really effective. Make a real show-stopping wow factor cake for your wedding. This one in particular, it's got all the drip fabric effect with the sugar pastel on the bottom. It's got all the detailing for the bodice, and then if I can lift it a bit further down, we've got the steampunk cogs, again similar to the other steampunk cake with the feathers, and this one's actually got silk flowers rather than sugar flowers. So you've just got your silk roses there under the brim of the hat, and of course the goggles as well. Put that one down. If I was going for something like this style of cake, I would normally recommend that this middle section here is actually a dummy cake. Otherwise, unless you've got a huge wedding, you're going to get so much cake out of there, because if you think you've got one huge tier at the bottom and then another one on top and one on top here. If you had the whole lot in cake, you'd be eating it forever. So yeah, things like that, and particularly with the shape of it, lends itself well to polystyrene. Similarly, with the football one for the top tier, that would generally tend to be a polystyrene on the top for the sphere for the football, and then the rest of the cake would be the actual cake itself. So other things that I wanted to talk to you about as well, other than the wedding cakes, I also do wedding favours. So these ones were made, I've held them up individually, these ones were made to complement the steampunk cake. So just little biscuits here with the sugar paste decorations, and then they can complement your theme as well. We could go for names on these if you wanted to personalise them for your guests. So I've done them before with like heart-shaped cookies, and they've been embossed with the name of the wedding couple and the wedding date, that kind of thing. Or you could put the name of your guest on there if you wanted to use them for place setting names. That would work really well. So things like that we can dress it up. I also do things like cupcake towers. So if you're wanting, particularly thinking from the food safety point of view as well at weddings at the moment with coronavirus and social distancing and all that kind of thing, we could have a cutting cake at the top and then individual cupcakes in tiers underneath, and then your guests are just getting their individually wrapped cupcake rather than the slices of cake. Again, with the cookies, these would be individually sealed into cellophane packs. So if the guests didn't eat them on the day, they could take them away with them, and they would have a good couple of weeks shelf life. So, and again, from a hygiene point of view, they are all separately sealed individually. Obviously, as you can see from the wedding cakes I've got on display, they are very much a novelty theme. That's the kind of area that I specialise in, although I do sugar flowers as well. So if you are looking for something a little more traditional with the sugar flowers, I can do these. So you could add them in small sprays on each tier. You could do like a topper with the flowers coming down in a teardrop shape. Or like with this one here, you could have the flowers as a separator in between two tiers, not necessarily a steampunk style, but in a more traditional theme as well, if you like. I also do all kinds of cakes, not just wedding cakes. I do celebration cakes as well, but obviously this being a wedding fair, that's why I'm talking mainly about all the wedding cakes that I do. If anybody's got any questions, I'm sorry, I've got a bit of a sore throat today. If anybody's got any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them for you. Either drop a comment and I'll have a look at it, or you can contact me via my website, via my Facebook page or Instagram, or just drop me an email at cakes@juliescakeinabox.co.uk. So I'd just like to wrap this up. Oh, one last thing as well, sorry, I forgot to talk about, is the flavours, which is something I normally talk about quite early on. The flavours, I think, are one of the most important things of your cake. Obviously, the cake design, how it looks on the outside, is important, but just as importantly is how it tastes on the inside as well. I find quite popular flavours at the moment are vanilla, lemon and chocolate, so the good old traditional flavours. Also finding that salted caramel is really popular, as well as white chocolate and raspberries, another popular flavour. But again, same as the design, the sky's the limit. We can do anything with the design. Same thing on the inside. There's so many different flavours that we can explore. So if there's something in particular that you really like, I've had people wanting Battenberg flavoured cakes, cherry bakewell, chocolate orange, chocolate mint. You know, there's all sorts of different combinations that we can do. So again, we'll come talk about that if you get in touch, if we have the consultation, we can talk about flavours. I feel personally that that's one of the more important things about the cake, because like I say, a cake can look as good as anything, but if it doesn't taste nice, you're serving that to all your guests on your wedding day, so you want the cake to taste nice as well. I do find the majority of my cakes that go out these days are sponge cakes, but I do fruit cakes as well. Sometimes wedding couples like to have the top tier as a fruit cake because some of the guests may like them, or maybe if some guests aren't able to come, it's something that can easily be cut up and posted out, because obviously fruit cake lasts for a lot longer than sponge cake does. So if that's something that in particular would appeal to you, quite happy to do fruit cakes as well. Obviously, they are matured for quite a while and soaked in lovely alcohol, so adding to the preservatives. So just a quick recap, I'm Julie Rogerson from Julie's Cake in a Box. My studio is based in Beverley in East Yorkshire, but I do cover a wider area as well. So please feel free to get in touch with me, and I look forward to talking to you about your wedding cake. Thanks ever so much for listening, and thanks again to Wedding Fairs Yorkshire for inviting me along to their wedding fair today. Hopefully we'll be able to get together in person soon and have some nice wedding fairs where we can actually get together and meet each other, and I can bring my cake samples with me. So thank you ever so much for watching, and see you again soon. Bye.